Welcome everyone. Welcome to webinar Road to Success organized by IPPA Tech and collaboration with Embassy of Pakistan, Dublin. Before we kick off our things, what I would like to know is where are you joining us from? So it's very simple. On your screen, you can see instructions. Go to www.menti.com and you can just enter the code 770822 and you would be able to answer this question, which city you are joining from. If it's Dublin, if it's another city in Ireland, we would like to know where our participants are coming from today. And if you have any trouble, any questions, any issues that you're having, please feel free to post it in the chat. It will be monitored and somebody will get to you. We see that we already have a couple of people joining us from Dublin, as expected. Five people from Dublin. Let's see if we got anybody from outside of Dublin. Oh, we got one person from Cork. Welcome. Drogheda. Nice. So we have a diverse participant. I guess that's the advantage of meeting online. There is no restriction on where somebody can join us from. We'll give a couple of minutes for everybody to join in and answer this question, settle in, make sure their audio video is working fine before we will kick off things. As we all know, we're still learning how this online platform works and what are the problems with that and issues. So we thought we will give everybody a chance to join in while we get to know each other a bit better by understanding where everybody is joining from. I'm joining from Dublin. I'm right in Dublin city center myself. Enfield. Great. 13 people have so far answered that question. Anybody from west of Ireland, maybe Galway, Limerick?
So we have people mentioning in the chat they're joining from different cities. It would be great if you guys can use menti.com. And we have people from Portlaoise, Limerick, Clonmel, Enfield. They're all mentioning in the chat.
Thank you, Khalid. Yeah, I missed the chat once. We have somebody from Waterford as well. Welcome, everybody. I can see people are still joining in. We're up to 34 people right now. Expect a bit more, so we're gonna give a 1 or so minute more before we kick off things.
Zan, I need to know, are you recording this and can I get the recording from you guys as well?
The session
I'm recording from...
Sorry, the session will be recorded. Yes, it's currently getting recorded.
Right, so I might need the footages later on.
Yeah. I think we can start. It's been 5 minutes past our starting time. It's so good to see so many people joining us, not only from Dublin, but also from other cities in Ireland as well. And that was one of our goal, to have as diverse an audience here as possible. So let me move back to the slide. All right. So once again, welcome to this IPPA Tech webinar. It's the first of its series of webinars, so this is not the only one. My name is Zan, and I will be guiding you through the whole event as a host of the event. Before we get into the introduction of our guests and panelists, there are a couple of ground rules. The first one is keep yourself muted. I think we are all getting used to this new environment of working online, and one of the things that tend to happen is that by mistake we keep ourselves unmute, and then there is a background noise, a TV, or somebody speaking in the background that you don't notice maybe, but it can get disruptive for the whole meeting. So let's try and make sure that we are muted. We have a couple of people monitoring this as well, and they will be able to help you. The second thing is the chat. The chat is open, so if you have any question, if you have any comment, if you want to introduce yourself, please feel free to use that chat. Osman is looking after that, and he will be able to guide you and answer any questions that you might have. And later on in the session, you will actually get an opportunity to ask questions to our panelists through chat as well. The final ground rule for today is that this session is getting recorded. So the recording is on. This is just for information for everybody, so everybody is aware. And this will be later on published as well. Just to introduce you a bit the background team or the support team for this event, we have, sorry, let me go back to the, we have myself. My name is Zan. I'm working as a product manager in Allianz, and I will be hosting this session as well. My background is in technology. I'm a software engineer by education, but 5 years ago, I decided to change a bit my career and moved into product management, but still in IT. So I work in the IT department of Allianz as looking after their IT platform. And we have Asif here, who is looking after the whole webinar infrastructure here with GoToMeetings. He's currently working with Citrix as a senior escalation engineer. So if you would have any trouble here with your muting, unmuting, logging issues, etc., it will be Asif who will be taking care of that. And then finally, we have Usman Naeem, who is a big data analyst and currently working with AutoCAD. And he's looking after the chat. He will be able to answer any questions and guide you if there is any need, or if you have any comments there as well. Later on during the session, when we will have an opportunity to ask questions, Usman will be able to pass that on to our panelists as well. And I would really encourage you to use that opportunity to ask the questions. Now, you may be wondering, what is this event about? How did it came to be? What are our goals here? And let me tell you a bit of a background of that. So we know that in Ireland recently, a lot of professionals are moving in from Pakistan. A lot of students are coming in to study here, which are in technology field as well. And we felt the need that there is an opportunity to connect those experienced professionals with the recent graduates or people who are still studying and are about to graduate and enter their professional career. I think there is a huge opportunity there to connect them and learn from each other and help each other grow. So this comes in from that need, and it is a collaboration between the Embassy of Pakistan and in Dublin, as well as IPA, which is Irish Pakistani Professional Association, and there are a lot of technology background people part of this organization as well that are collaborating to organize this event today. Well, the planning for this event started months back, and it was supposed to be an in-person event here in Dublin. As you can imagine, with a lot of other things moving online, we also decided to not delay it, but instead move it online. And that has its advantages as well. One of them being that it is no longer restricted to folks in Dublin, but also anybody else in Ireland who could join us today. And we saw that a lot of you are joining from there. Our goal here is basically to give you some tips, to share our experience. So we have a lot of experts here today that are going to share their experience, their learnings from their career so far, from different fields, from academia, from startups, from industry. And we will also share some tips and tricks of how to brand yourself if you're going to look for a job or if you want to connect with other people, how to construct your CV, how to give an interview, how to present yourself, a bit of a tips. It will not go into too much detail, but it will give you a fair amount of idea on how to do that. Somebody is, yeah, please keep yourself muted. And our second goal here is the networking. I think networking is very important, and being that all of us are from a similar background, that we all have one thing in common, that we belong from Pakistan. So it's important that our new graduates and people who are just entering their professional career can able to connect with those experienced folks that have been here for a while, that have been working in Ireland for a long time, some of them for decades, and they can learn from them, they can network from them, and they can even get mentoring for them. So that's our goal for today. And that's why it's really important that you continue to use the chat to connect with each other, to introduce yourself, talk to our panelists, and so that we can make it as interactive as possible. Now we move forward. I would like to ask a second question to all of you. And I will go back to Menti. So we have few different topics that we are going to cover, and we were just curious, what are the things that are you most looking forward to, or you're more interested in, or will be most beneficial to you? So we have 6 options here, and they will all be covered. So the agenda is already set. There will be topics related to academia, industry, startup, and then the personal branding part of it, like how can you present yourself on LinkedIn, how can you make your CVs, and what are the tips or tricks of giving a good interview when you're going for a job interview. So use menti.com. You can go to www.menti.com. Use the code 770822. So if you had already logged in before, just press next and you should see the question already there. And just answer the question. We have already a lot of responses here. We can see a lot of people are interested in almost all the topics here. And that's good to see. That means that we are covering all the bases for you. We obviously, the industry part is taking a lead here at the moment, and we have 2 great panelists that are going to talk about that, and I will be introducing them in a while. LinkedIn, interview tips, these are all very important things. I can tell you from my experience, I moved to Dublin last year in May, and before that I was looking to move to Dublin, so I was looking for a job here, and I was looking for a move. So all those things that we're going to discuss here, I wish I had a webinar like this, because I had to learn them through other ways, through my own experience and failure, because there was nobody else to guide me, because I hadn't connected with anybody else from Ireland yet. So you are lucky because you have this opportunity to listen to our experts today, and you can get to know all these tips and tricks that they have been using here for a while. Now that's a great response. I think all those topics are really important, so I will not keep you waiting. Let's move forward. Here is the agenda. So we have 2 main topics for today. One is the road to success, and that will be covered by a few of our panelists. And the second part is the personal branding. In between these 2 main topics, we will have a 10-minute break in case you want to grab a cup of coffee or tea. Before that, we have 2 special guests that I would introduce in a bit, who would share a couple of words of encouragement, and also the goal and the purpose of this event as well. Once again, I would like to remind everybody that use the chat. Networking is really an important part of this event. So now let me introduce our first special guest for today. That's Dr. Khalid Sarwar Khan. He's the president and one of the founding members of IPPA. Currently, he's working as a consultant orthopedic in the Northeast RCSI Hospital Group, Ireland. He also served as secretary of IOFAS, which is Irish Foot and Ankle Society, from 2017 to 2019, first Pakistani in this space. He also was an assistant professor of orthopedics at Aga Khan University, Karachi in 2013 and 2014, where he also founded Foot and Ankle Forum with others in Pakistan in 2014. So please help me welcome Dr. Khalid Sarwar.
Thanks very much, Zan, for giving me a time on this highly specialized technical event. I'm muted away from this technology, but trying to learn, and we'll learn more today. And I won't hold you guys from this good event, but just to give you a quick introduction. And as Zan mentioned, we needed something in Ireland to get the professionals together. And we all been doing good job, and has been doing in the past, but it's like a effect was not as effective for that. It's not recognized as good because we were doing individual and it's an effort, and so far, thankfully, it is successful. We're trying to bring all professionals, including IT consultants or doctors or solicitors or accountants, and you name it. So everybody, so that we can have a platform where we can show our educated society who's working in Pakistan, and that will help the community in particular, and also our Irish society. And other aspect of that was to bring our new generation, both born here or somebody coming from Pakistan or abroad, to bring them back towards our cultural values, our traditions, and these things, so that we become more like a Pakistani society still living in Ireland, with integrating with Irish society as well. So this led to the formation of Irish Pakistani Professionals Association, and the main aim of this is we have to get our young doctors or young professionals to the ladder faster, and they can achieve the goals which we have achieved in a little bit longer. Thankfully, alhamdulillah, we are working in a very good position, but definitely there's a more time required in learning the system and in progressing. And why we give the same disadvantage to our new generation, we want to guide them so they can go on the fast track and compete equally with the other nations or local graduates here. So this is one of the main aim, definitely to raise respect and honor of Pakistan while doing everything and highlighting our achievement, and also to support some community welfare activities. So these are the main kind of aims about it. And we recently made IPA Tech and IPA Mag to give a little broad kind of area to work independently, and that's why you guys were working and we were just supporting, and that's the way it will be working. So we have more, and it's again one more thing I must say here. I've been talking to many different people, because as I said, everybody's working, and their main aim for every person is for Pakistan, for Pakistani community. It's not only one organization. I think we all organizations who are in Ireland or anywhere in the world, we should think Pakistan and Pakistani community and come together on a common point and work for the betterment of our country and society. So that is the main aim. I won't hold you long, and I think I'll hand over back to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid. That was a very good intro of both IPA and its aims and objectives as well. So let me swiftly move on to our second guest speaker for today, which is Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Pakistan in Dublin, His Excellency Mr. Shuja Alam. And he will be talking with us about the importance of networking in Pakistani IT community.
Ji, assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much, Dan, for giving me some time to speak. First of all, I want to thank the IPA organization for collaborating with the embassy for giving you this webinar. I think it's a very important subject. So I'm very grateful to IPA. I'm also extremely grateful, and the embassy's gratitude to all the IT professionals who, despite their busy schedules, have come together to help and mentor this event. And I'm also grateful to all the students who have joined in. Please learn from the professionals who are already working in the field. I think Zain Saab has explained very clearly what the purpose of this webinar is, its aims and objectives. So I won't add much to it. The only thing that how I see a broader Irish perspective in this, I've maintained for long that Ireland is one country where the Pakistani community, because most of them are professionals, can have a huge influence in the society and in Ireland in general, through integration and through working for issues that are important to the Irish community. The reason for this is that most of you have made Ireland your second home, which means that you will get married here, you will raise your children here, your children will go to school and universities here. So this is your home. The embassy has put out a paper on this issue and how the Pakistani community can get integrated and wield influence within the society. If you're respected, only then can you wield influence. And I tell you, I almost 36 years of service. Ireland is one country where I find this is very very achievable. Number one, because of the small size of the population. Number two, it's a very affluent society. And three, the proportion of Pakistanis here who are in the professional business. So please, I request Shahzad, my colleague Shahzad, to share this paper with IPA, and I request IPA to circulate it with members. I'll also request Shahzad to circulate that paper within the all the participants. And please give us your feedback. It's not a long paper. It's 2-3 page long paper. See what the idea is. See does it strike a chord? Is it the way forward for Pakistani community to move forward and really progress as a society and gain influence within the wider Irish society? Please do look into it. On the business front, we have another possibility going on. We were thinking of launching some sort of an app. I'm totally a layman in IT, so I'll go by your guidance. That if you could launch an app where all Pakistani businesses, independent businesses, professionals who provide services, consultants, anytime can fill in their data or whatever their ID or something, so that that app can connect Pakistanis, professionals, businessmen, entrepreneurs on one platform. That was part of our promoting the Pakistani business forum in Ireland. So any feedback that the embassy can receive on that is again most welcome. As you all know, the idea was to create a horizontal linkage through this webinar, which means all IT professionals can come together and work together, as well as a vertical linkage with the students, so they can learn the IT environment here and Dublin, opportunities that are there. But once again, I'm very very grateful to all of you for participating and for encouraging the students, and I wish the students will take. I'm sure the students will gain much from this. Thank you very much. Very grateful.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such inspiring words and your thoughts on this whole event, but also on our community here in Ireland and the opportunities we have here if we work together. With that, let's move on to our first session for today, which is the road to success. This session is going to be a panelist based, and our moderator for today is Mr. Khalid Abbas, who is currently working as Senior Incident Response Engineer at eBay. He has been living in Ireland for a while, and he has over 23 years of experience in IT industry in different areas, including technical customer support, escalation management, and customer satisfaction. The panelists that will be joining him, one of them is Dr. Mohammed Atif Qureshi. He is currently as lecturer assistant professor in data analytics associated with Technology University Dublin, and his area of expertise are machine learning, explainable AI, predictive maintenance, and business analytics. Our second expert here today is Dr. Farooq Mirza, who is head of API development at Bank of Ireland. His area of expertise are enterprise application development, distributed systems, microservices, API, you name it. Then we have Ahmed Abdul Wakil, who is currently working as engineering manager at Groupon. His area of expertise include people management, organizational leadership, software development, big data, and distributed systems. And then we have representing startups, Mr. Absar Mirza, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Hinsa Technologies Limited, and his area of expertise include new business development, software development lifecycle, agile, custom business application development. With that, let me hand it over to Mr. Khalid Abbas, who is going to guide us through the rest of this session. Khalid, you might have to unmute yourself. think Khalid is trying to unmute, but in the meantime, let me give you a short intro of what this session is going to be.
Apologies.
Oh, sorry, we got
Apologies.
Khalid. No worries.
Sorry about that. Okay, sorry. So we have three parts of this Road to Success webinar. Basically, first one is academia, then industry and startup. For academia, we have Dr. Atif Quraishi. He'll be helping us to give us a bit of insight about what are the trends in academia, what if you want to do PhD or masters. So over to you, Dr. Atif.
Thank you very much, Khalid bhai. Can I have the slide to be moved to next, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, next, please. Thank you. Yeah. So as we know, like when we pursue degrees or we receive education, there are different strategic advantages to it, and there are strategic goals that we want to achieve with it. So let's imagine when a child is born, you can see in the picture one, there is a sphere of knowledge, and the child is born without any knowledge. So if we imagine that all the knowledge that there exists within the field of science is within the circle. So you can see as they progress and they go to elementary school, they learn 360 degrees all around, but very basic, right? Afterwards, they go to high school, build on top of that 360 degrees once again. And afterwards, they go and do a bachelor degrees. But with the bachelor degree, it's no longer 360 growth. As you can see in the picture 4, what you can see is there is a little tiny circle on top of the circle. And it's going towards a specific direction, but still overall general within that specific area. This is here where an engineer is born. This is where the foundation is known. So person is foundational, right? So they might be a support staff. They might help us out with daily routine tasks in industry and as well as elsewhere, but they don't have the expertise to be very innovative or very skilled. So this is where when somebody wants to attain more specific area of skill sets and become an expert, they go for a master's degree. What happens in the master's degree, as you can see in the 5th picture, you can see it shoots up like a rocket coming out of the small circle that was created from the foundational engineering, right? And they kind of try to extend towards its direction, and they continue doing it, as you can see in 6th and 7th. And 8th. So this is when they are at the edge of the knowledge, known knowledge of that boundary of the circle of knowledge, and they kind of master a specific area in a direction, and they're known as master of the known. Even though some may say like they might able to publish, but what they are able to publish within the master scope is not something that is considered to be part of new knowledge, but considered to be part of comparative analysis and all these kind of things. So they stay within the known knowledge, but they are the master of the known knowledge. So if you hire a master's for a certain task, you can't expect them to innovate something new. What you can expect is whatever is known, they are very good at that, and then they can do something within the known. But what's about then the step later on? The step later on is towards the path towards PhD. What happened is, from within the known circle and the limit, then little bit of creeping and progressing starts happening. And this is where we see, if you see in on the picture 9, that little bit dent is emerging on top of the known circle. And when the dent becomes evident, as you can see in 10, 11, and 12, a little bit dent, then there is a unique expert or an inventor of a knowledge. So what has happened is the boundary of the circle has extended. So what can happen, once you have a PhD, you are qualified as an inventor, you're qualified as an expert who has created a new knowledge within the sphere of the knowledge. So it totally depends upon what do you want to achieve in different stages of life, what are your goals. On the basis of that, you pick and choose whether you want to go for master's or second master's, or whether you want to go for PhD or another PhD, and so on and so forth. So if this is clear in your head, it makes sense why are you opting for a new degree, because for getting a degree for the sake of degree is useless. You need to be in complete control of your objective, and you really need to hit on target. So this is where, if you want to become an inventor and proven inventor of knowledge, and then you can exercise that into industry or as well as in academia, it's up to you, then, but perhaps the main idea of having a PhD is that person is trusted to be an inventor, and then that person can invent more knowledge as they go through later on their experiences. Can I move to the next slide, please? Yeah, so some of the common questions that people can have in their mind: what should I study, right? Topics: should I go for artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, or what should I go for? So the thing here is all these topics are very similar to each other. The whole purpose is, what are you trying to solve? And these days, automating a technology or automating a decision making, for example, driverless cars, or perhaps drones delivering automatically to your home, or perhaps before a machine fails down, or invention of a new drug automatically by computers, or even looking for something new or novel by the computational intelligence. That is kind of a thing that is very, very much liked. So if the underlying AI, ML, data analytics, if the underlying assumption is that you are going to learn concepts that you can apply in different application areas, and the concept is to make machine wiser and have a decision by themselves, not replacing completely human being as we speak now, but complementing the human judgments. So if you are going for such things, then this topic is great. It has a huge potential within this market space of Ireland and definitely beyond as well. So again, there could be other questions. Should I go for undergraduate, master's through taught masters, or research masters and PhD? There is no one short answer for it. Of course, it depends upon who's asking, where you are. For some people, masters by research makes much more sense. For some, masters by through teaching makes more sense. It depends where you are. I'll welcome those questions in the panel if you have some of those, and we can talk more about that. And there are other questions such as, like, how should I plan my PhD, scholarship fundings? There are fundings from the government such as IRC. There are project-based funding. I'll be happy to answer those questions. There are possibilities of self-funding, such as, if I'm doing a part-time job, can I do part-time PhD? Or if I'm doing full-time job, part-time PhD? Yeah, I have seen some of the success stories. I would be happy to answer those as well. Finding supervisors, how to contact, how many should I approach together, how to write a proposal, what are the prospects in the market and industry. I'll be very happy to talk all that about later on, and I'll pass on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Farooq and Mr. Ahmed.
Over to you, Dr. Farooq and Ahmed. They'll be giving us a bit of insight about the software trends in the industry. So over to you, Dr. Farooq.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Khalid. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So basically, you have pretty much covered your undergrad or master's and PhD. You've made your mark. Now you have, we assume that you've decided to come into software industry. Next slide, please. Next, please. So what's, like many other fields, what's very important in software industry is that your learning doesn't stop. You have to continuously learn and keep going in the field, because every day new technologies are coming up. There are a lot of material available today, like Pluralsight, LinkedIn, Geek for Geeks, YouTube channels, Udemy, D-Zone, Balding, and of course we have a Stack Overflow and a Stack Exchange as well, where you can post questions and get answers. But your journey doesn't stop here. You learn, and then what you must do is practice. So how do you practice? And there are a number of venues to practice your newly acquired skills. Like you can go to coder dojos, or you can practice on LeetCode or HackerRank or Codility. But most importantly, there are cloud platforms which are very important in today's world, like Azure and AWS or Google Cloud. So please make an account and try it out. Try out these new technologies. There's nothing more important than practice. Next slide, please. So the question arises, what should I learn? And there is so much happening. What is it that I have to learn? So first and foremost, what you should learn is object-oriented and functional programming paradigms. There is no escaping them. They are very useful in industry. And apart from learning the basics, you should also learn design patterns and integration patterns, which we've seen many people don't have that knowledge. And that is, in my professional opinion, it's very important for newcomers into the industry. And there are many, many different areas of software development, and you can try many of them out, but you can also focus on some of them. For example, you have front-end development, you have back-end development, you have cloud and platforms, you have containerization and automation, where you make sure that your output is the same irrespective of the environment. You have data processing, engineering, and science, which is very close to artificial intelligence. And very importantly, you have operations, reliability of your newly created applications and APIs. And the most important thing you would learn during your course of studies and during your even professional career is, I would emphasize it a lot, is to learn Linux. And a lot of the things in industry today are using the Linux platform. And next slide, please. So under front-end development, there are a bunch of technologies, but all the story starts from HTML and CSS. But where it ends is the newer technologies like Angular, React, Vue.js, and Bootstrap even. On mobile development, there are two. So apart from web development, there's the other aspect, which is the mobile front-end development. And in today's world, everything is mobile first. People and companies are following mobile first strategies. And the frameworks and the technologies they use range from React Native, Xamarin, Cordova, and some companies even go down to native development using Objective-C or Java. Next, please. So one team builds the front end, but there could be another team that specializes in the back end. There are a bunch of technologies and languages that are used today, like Java, Python, and Node.js in building those backends. But there is new and upcoming technologies coming up as well, like Golang or Rust and Kotlin. They are coming at, catching up to Java and Python's popularity very quickly. And there are the other aspect, the very important aspect of backend programming is communication. So you build your APIs over REST and SOAP protocols, but there are new protocols coming up, emerging protocols like gRPC. You have AMQP, JMS, which is asynchronous communication. And then in the banking industry, there is a lot of focus on single sign-on authentication. So for that, you use OAuth or SAML2 or OIDC. There is a FAPI standard as well at play here. In terms of frameworks depend on which technology you are using. But the most commonly used frameworks are Spring Boot or .NET Core. But there are other frameworks like Apache Camel, Django, and even STL. There are very new architectures being used. So SOA was used a couple of years ago. Now people are moving towards microservices, and new architectures like reactive applications, onion architecture, and inversion of control is being looked at very closely these days. Next, please. And under cloud and platform, so there are two main vendors of cloud technology, which is Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services. They are the biggest cloud platforms today. However, Google Cloud is not very far behind, but there are other cloud platforms like IBM Cloud and Oracle Cloud as well. And very recently, Zoom has done a contract with Oracle where they are moving all of their infrastructure off to Oracle. So there are three types of services offered by these cloud platforms. So infrastructure as service, where you build your own network, you build your virtual machines, and everything is in your control. There is platform as a service, where you have Azure Kubernetes service or AWS's Elastic Container Service, or AWS's Fargate, or even Google App Engine. And then you have software as a service, where you use the software only on a rental basis, like AWS's notification service or email service, or even Google Analytics and Google Maps. All of them are provided as software as a service. And you can even use AI in terms of Azure Cognitive Services as SaaS, on a SaaS model. So the question arises, what is it that you can actually do with cloud? And the answer is there is no limit, actually. You can build web applications, microservices, you can build AI models, you can do auto ML, you can do augmented reality, virtual reality, gaming, and a whole lot. But you need to be careful of how much all of these technologies are going to cost you. You need to watch out for your cloud bill, because it stacks up pretty quickly. So now I will take this opportunity to hand over the presentation to my colleague Ahmed, who would talk about a bunch of other areas. Over to you, Ahmed.
All right, thanks so much, Farooq and Zan. Yeah, thanks so much. So my name is Ahmed, and I will continue on the same theme of what technical aspects need to be considered, during your study period to increase the job prospects. And from, for some of the projects, I advise you to look into Dockers and Kubernetes, which are very famous these days. And for the, and for the Kubernetes, one of the easiest option is to use the AWS EKS, which is a managed service, and you don't need to worry about the cluster management. Just go for managed services available. This will help you to have exposure to the automating application, like scaling and like deployment and management. And for the continuous integration and deployment, you can use the tools like Jenkins, and you will get the exposure to build the modern build, test and deploy softwares. Then I also encourage you to practice the infrastructure automation. Sometimes as students, we just do the manual infrastructure that we have to create manually things, but I strongly encourage you to get exposure to the automation scripts as well. One of the famous thing is the Terraform, which will help you to to get the exposure to creating automatically EC2 instances, to setting up the access policies for roles and the resources. And this will also include the exposure to the storage technologies like S3. I mean, how to manage them and how to automatically you can deploy the artifacts of application on the S3. Next slide, please. Then in the scope of data processing, engineering, and science, there are various options to look into. If you're interested towards the event services, most of the famous is the Kafka. And again, I encourage you to instead of deploying or trying out the Kafka yourself, you can use any managed service like AWS MSK, so that you don't have to focus on scaling or management of the cluster itself. And so most of your projects in the study period would have anyway exposure to the RDBMS like MySQL, Postgres, and then you can go for AWS RDS, which has already options of multiple flavors of RDMS. And for example, you can just have an account of AWS RDS, and then you can use like MySQL over there, which is very famous and easy to use these days. If you are interested in building the data pipelines, if you see your future towards as a big data engineer or a big data pipeline kind of scope, then I strongly recommend you to try out Spark. And again, for Spark, we have AWS EMR as a managed service. And whenever you are going to build a data pipeline, you need to use like a layer to do the iteration. For example, you have Airflow, which is very famous these days. If your pipeline is small, then it's fine. But if your pipeline is big, if you're dealing with the financial data or very like a transactional kind of data, you will need Airflow kind of technology. For the data science, you have many options for like TensorFlow. You have like IBM, Watson. You can try out. But if you want to look into the visualization aspects of your application, R is a language which is pretty famous these days, and it is equally being used in the academia as well as in the industry. Next slide, please. Yeah. One of the area when we are hiring the new graduates and they struggle, at the first start of the career is the operation side of the service, because in a month or 2 months time they are expected to be on call alone on the service. So if you already have a bit of exposure during your study projects to look after the operations of your service, and that will definitely give you an edge over the other candidates in terms of CV and interview. And there are many options, but I strongly recommend that at least you should look into the application monitoring aspects. For example, you can have the Wavefront, which will help for you to do the real-time monitoring of your application. You can see how much data your application or data pipelines are consuming, how much data they are outputting, and that will help you to see the customers' trends as well. And for any other application, to have a proper logging is very important. You can have ELK Stack, and in ELK Stack there is also a free version available as well. You can have logging, you can have dashboarding, indexing, and filtering on the logging aspects. Next slide, please. Yeah, so while myself and Farooq already has covered in terms of tech stack, in terms of the platforms available, here I just want to highlight few important aspects that normally students just wait for the end year, and then when they're preparing for the interviews, then they look into these aspects. But I recommend you guys that on the day first, when you're starting your IT degree, you should look for any project. If it involves the coding or design, you should be very much focused at what kind of data structures are you using and why you are using them, and what are the pros and cons of the data structures and algorithms that you have applied in your project. And you should be able to justify that what are the compromises you are making in choosing those algorithms. And when you're doing a coding, you should be following the standard coding styles available online these days, from the day first. And never wait for the 4th year of your project to try out these things, because so then automatically it means that you are preparing for these things, for the interviews and to be successful in the first year of your career. When you're building any project, like in your undergrad or masters, look into that why you are designing application in a certain way. So why you have multiple layers, why you're designing a database in a particular way, and what is the pros and cons of multiple layers, and where you want to put the logic in a certain layer. And normally our students don't look into actually scaling the applications or look into optimizing the performance of the application, but at least you should have a theoretical knowledge that what are the options available if I want to scale application, and what are the options available if I want to improve the performance of the application. And for example, if I have to apply the caching, what are the possible available options for the caching, and at what layer I can put the caching so that I can have the best possible performance available. And whenever you reach to the final year project, start trying to do a prep for your all of the projects, because you are expected during the interviews to do a deep dive for any project that you have mentioned on your CV. Later on, myself and Khalid will do also a prep for the interview, so then we can continue on this again.
Thank you, Ahmed, and thank you, Dr. Farooq, as well, for your insight about the hot technologies that are in the market at the moment. And we'll move on to last part of our first part of the session, which is regarding startups. So that will be presented by Absar Mirza. Absar Mirza is one of the oldest IT professionals. Now, don't take me wrong, not in terms of age, but in terms of experience in Ireland. He was my first IT friend when I moved over to Ireland in year 2000. So he's the CEO of Insa Technologies, one of few IT entrepreneurs, Pakistani IT entrepreneurs in Ireland. Over to you, Absar.
Thanks very much, Khalid, for making a kind introduction and making me very old as well as the experienced person. Thanks very much. Could we have next slide, please? Starting off a business is very good, is very simple. You see a problem, you create or invent a solution for that and sell that solution to other people who need that. This is your big idea, and that can be your business. What is hard in becoming is a successful entrepreneur is that involves countless hours, perseverance, and unwavering determination to succeed. The good news is you can start business at any stage of your life. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you must view every problem as an opportunity to control your own destiny and provide the world with something new and better. Next slide, please. Let's assume you have spotted a problem and you have a good solution in mind, and you are trying to be going to be next Bill Gates. Now you need to explore how to produce that solution. What will be the cost of producing the first prototype, and what will be the cost of producing more units that you can sell? How to finance that production? You need to do market research, find out who are your competitors, what is the advantage of your solution over other competitors' products. Sometimes competition comes from unexpected corners. In our own case, actually, when we developed a Extreme Manager product and requirements management software, and unexpectedly, the biggest competition we came across was from Microsoft Excel. You need to analyze who can benefit from using your solution and who is likely to pay for that, and how much money they can afford to pay for that. You need to assess how many units you need to sell to generate sufficient profit for maintaining your living standard. Could you produce that many units from the resources you have? If not, then you have to find out those resources. You may consider getting bank loan or outside investment, but that's not free either. Assuming you have decided to go ahead for the business, next slide, please. Assuming you have decided to go ahead and start a business, then you have to register a company. There are various types of companies like sole trader, partnership, and limited liability companies. You can register yourself, or you can use a specialist company formation service providers. It is not expensive. It costs roughly about 300 to 400 euro. Next slide, please. Once you form the company, then you need to register for your bank account to start trading. And you have to register for various types of taxes like corporation tax and employer's tax and VAT. You may also require a specialist license if you are that depends on nature of your business. Next slide, please. As you can imagine, a business is not just about making a product or selling it. There are many different functions that you have to work with. It is a harmonious integration of those functions which leads to successful business. Efficient marketing and sales means nothing if you cannot produce the solution, or you cannot secure the material, or you cannot arrange the logistics and distribution. Chances are you will not be able to do everything yourself. You may be genius in system design, but you may not have knowledge of accounting and finance. There is a way of knowing. It is very important to know your strengths and weaknesses. You should know your team. If you do not have all those skills available to you, then you have to start building your team. Next slide, please. There is a significant help available for new businesses and entrepreneurs in Ireland. Enterprise Ireland and County enterprise boards are very good in helping new businesses as well as established businesses. They provide feasibility study grants. There are some tax incentives are available for via seed capital scheme and business expansion schemes. Next slide, please. Personally, I benefited hugely from participating in Hot House Entrepreneur Development Program. They provided training and workshops to build workable command of various aspects like sales, marketing, employment laws, accounting, writing business plans, marketing plans, and various other functions. These days, there is a new frontier program which is operating from 16 incubation centers, mostly associated with different universities and Institute of Technologies. To successful candidates, they provide diploma of new business development also. This is part. At the top of that, these programs provide networking opportunities with business experts, mentors, investors, and other entrepreneurs who are good to bouncing ideas. With lots of time, they may be going through the similar challenges as you are. Next slide, please. In recent years, I feel startups have been glamorized by movies and social media, and we hear a lot about success stories. However, my job today will not be done if I do not tell you about not so successful stories also. The statistics are, and my personal experience are, that 70% of the time things do not go as we thought or as we planned. More than 50% businesses close down in the first 4 years of their life. To succeed and pressure of meeting challenges when there is a lack of resources also, it becomes very stressful and long working hours are required. Being an entrepreneur is often a lonely affair. Quite often, no one else who can understand or who can share your concerns in confidence with fully understand your problems, and they cannot guide you either. It is challenging for family life. More than 50% marriage breakups among entrepreneurs is common. Finally, simple things that PAYE employees get for as granted, it becomes much more challenging when you are running your own business. For example, getting mortgage. Now, while I have said everything which is correct and true, the benefits of becoming an entrepreneur are also endless. It provides job satisfaction. You are doing what you are dreamed of, creating your own destiny. It is financially rewarding, no cap on your earnings. The financial security, along with being in control of what your company allocates, money and hiring, gives you ability to help others, which can be rewarding spiritually and mentally. You can get opportunity to meet people you may not have a chance to meet them otherwise. For example, I've met in my time with Taoiseach of this country and various ministers and business leaders. Next slide, please.
That's the last slide.
Okay, yeah, okay, thanks very much. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you, Absar. Thank you so much for your insight about startups in Ireland and speaking from your personal experience. So we are running a bit short of time. What I'll do is I'll immediately open the question and answer session, and we are having a big activity in our chat section. So and three of the questions they are regarding startups actually. So first question I'll go to is when should self-employed people in Ireland think about moving and registering a company in Ireland?
Self-employed people moving and registering, if it means they are already established and they are trading maybe outside Ireland. If you are, there are various incentives available via Enterprise Ireland or IDA, depending on your size of ambition. They can provide employment grants and other support to new businesses who are establishing in this country. Normally, those businesses are, they are driven by VC funded, so there would be sufficient finances available, and there would be some finances could be provided by IDA that goes case by case. This is how they are negotiating with IDEA. So there is no like a fixed time period or limit that when they must be done by, but it is. I mean, this requires specific case by case analysis, and I think it is better to start early and have a dialogue with IDEA or Enterprise Ireland on this thing.
I think the second question again is related to more or less same. It's how to arrange finance if you have an idea, solution to a problem, but no money to make startup.
It is finance. Raising finance is always challenging. I mean, quite often you have to demonstrate or you have to develop your first version yourself somehow by borrowing from your family, or you're doing it as a part-time affair while you are doing your own job and then coming home from that, and after putting late hours and weekends to develop that product. Once you have prototype, then you can demonstrate to somebody like you can demonstrate to development advisors from Enterprise Ireland or County Enterprise Board. So you need to have some level of recognition of validation of your idea. Once you have that, it is slightly becomes easier to raise funds. Obviously, there are raising funds through business expansion scheme is another possibility. There is Angel Network. They provide certain investment, but to raise finances is also very, very significant effort required, especially at the seed capital stage. But it is available, and every case is different.
Sure. So Kamran in chat has mentioned crowdfunding. So that's no doubt a very popular way of generating funds, or find a venture capitalist if your idea is worth it. That's applicable globally, no doubt. So moving on to next question, like it's not related to IT specifically.
I just want to add, give me a chance, like on that, like answer. So like I just want to say that like even if you have not done, like in terms of the development of the product, but if you go to the local county council, if you have the idea that what is my idea, if your idea has a potential, they will, so they will give you a grant of 5K or 10K just to build that, like idea into a product as well.
Sure. Thanks.
There is one more thing that I would like to add to this.
Yeah,
so there are things like you can have a commercialization fund within the university as well. So what can happen is you can move to university in the first few years, and then you can you can go set free from there. But it will save you some cost because you are moving to university. There will be some funds put in together from organizations such as Enterprise Ireland, IDA, or even SFI, depending upon what stream you're using. So you can move to university. That can save your equipment costs. That can, kind of bring in some of the employees with you with the commercialization fund as well in the beginning. But that needs to have some innovative arm into it because Ireland is looking for something where Ireland doesn't have a skill set and it's futuristic. And that's where the government is ready to fund you to a certain percentage if there is an innovative arm into that.
Thanks, Dr. Atif. And there was a question about, as a Pakistani passport holder, can we register or start up on 1G? That's more of a question related to INIS. But as far as I know, you need minimum 4G stamp to start any business, not only specific to IT startup or any. So 4G is the minimum requirement for that. We have one question for our software gurus. I would really appreciate if someone can shed some light on cybersecurity field and the security certification roadmap in line with the industry. So Dr. Farooq, yourself, Ahmed, or actually one of our support team, he's our security guru as well, Asif. Anybody wants to respond to that question? I'd start with Dr. Farooq.
So security is a very interesting field. Security is a very, very interesting field. And many companies are turning the dial in this field by employing people who can actually hack software so that they get the security threats even before it comes on the radar on a global scale, like OWASP top 10. Even if it is not there, people would bring in professional white hat hackers who would be employed to take down their own software. And then companies employ red teams and blue teams, where one team actually breaks, which is the red team. It breaks the infrastructure and the software, and the blue team who would then take remediating actions. This emerging field is quite demanding, actually, because it's not like you would do step 1, 2, 3 and you would be the expert in this field. You have to be very creative, even in different terms, in different areas, starting from networks, network security, all the way up to infrastructure and application and API security as well. So there are a number of certifications available regarding security and privacy. So CISSP is one of them. There is, I believe, CSP as well. And I think my colleague Asif can elaborate on the certification side of this field.
Asif, are you with us? Okay.
I can add here, like if you are at the start of your career, so if you want to pursue your expertise to any field like a cybersecurity, at the start, like you need to add on something like a software development into it. So you should be able to do the programming in at least one language. You should have experience of Linux. That will help you to land on the job. And once you are in a job in the area of the cybersecurity, then you can get more and more expertise, and then maybe after a few years you can be out of the pure technical side of this, and you can be more kind of a business in terms of the use cases, a customer oriented after like a couple of years.
Thanks, Ahmed. Actually, we are running short of time, so what I'll do is I see there's no question for our academia expert, so I'll send a question from my own side. Dr. Atif, many students, they ask this question, that especially from Pakistan as well, what are the areas in which there are more funds available if they apply for a postdoctoral or doctoral degree in Ireland? Would you shed some light on that, please?
So, yeah, that's a very, very fair question and common question. Well, to simplify this, anything where decision making could be automated through computer, whether you call it artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data analytics, whatnot, right? These are the buzzwords that are there, but they actually mean more or less the same thing when the idea is pitched. So anything to do with decision making by computers, that is welcome. So whether you are applying in bioinformatics, that is welcome. Whether you are applying in some chemical area, even that is a thing. So what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to say over here is there is a huge cross section in here where the computation is considered as equal, if not less. So the point here is, if you are pitching your idea around artificial intelligence to solve a certain application, that's fine. What they are not looking for is an application. What they're looking for is a concept that you are going to utilize to deliver value on application. What happens mostly is the students are thinking towards application side, which is not the case for your PhD. Yeah, application will be there, but the point here is, what are you going to do under the hood that will bring value to the application? It's not just having an application out there, but it's more like, what is the underlying machinery or mechanics that brings the value into application. So artificial intelligence is the way to go all around the world. You may call it data science, you may call it analytics, whatever you may call, but it's all about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Atif. We see there are more questions coming, but unfortunately, we're short of time. What we'll do is we can take them where our email address is in the chat. So kindly send the questions to us via email, and we'll try to respond as soon as possible. So that concludes first part of our webinar. Over to you, Zain.
Thank you, Khalid, and thank you all the panelists. I think you shared a lot of wonderful information that I'm sure students and recent graduates would find very, very useful. regardless of which path they want to take, be it academia or industry or startup. With that, let's move on to a short break. We are slightly behind schedule, so I would maybe adjust the time. Instead of 10-minute break, if you guys don't mind, we will keep the interesting part going. We'll instead take about 5 minutes break. So on my computer, it's 11 past 1. Let's meet up at 16 past 1, and we will start with our second session, which is related to personal branding.
Yep.
In the meantime, if you want to turn on your video, you want to chat, talk to each other, please feel free to use the chat. We are still available here. And I think you can even ask the questions and our panelists can answer in the chat as well.
Unmuted.
Hello, everyone. Before we end the break, if you're still here, I think we would like to see your faces as well. I think our organizer Asif has now allowed everybody to be able to share their video. This would be recorded. this would be on the 92 news channel as well. So if everybody who is joining us from everywhere in Ireland, please turn on your video and wave to us. Starting to see some cameras. Wave, energy, guys. I know it's Saturday afternoon. Everybody's tired. You're sitting in front of the computer, but come on. Yay!
Maybe you have to give them some time.
Absolutely. You know, I can imagine now everybody's working from home, and even in the morning, when I join the first meeting, I'm usually not turning on my camera because I'm not fully ready yet. So I can completely imagine that somebody got off guard with this request. So take your time, take a couple of minutes to, you know, wear your shirt, and that's it, and then turn on your video. We are all among.
Some camera. Zen, do you mind to announce that again? People might have missed that.
Yeah, so please turn on your cameras. We are going to take a screenshot as well, and this will be then used for the coverage on the 92 news channel as well. So if everybody could turn on their video and just wave, you know, have a bit of fun with that as well, that would be great. Don't be shy. We are all among family here.
Very good.
It might be still at the break.
Yeah, that might be possible. Yeah. What we might do as well is that towards the end of the session, we may give it another shot as well, as more people are still there.
So slowly we can see people turning their cameras on. Keep them coming, guys. That's good. And don't worry about your backgrounds. You know, it's Saturday, and even if you're in bed. So.
Hi Vakas, hi Zohaib, Junaid, Tokir, nice to see you guys. Faizan, nice to see you as well. We have somebody called Scanner. I'm sure that's not your real name, right? You can rename yourself if you want. Mohammed Zavish, hi. Great to see you.
I can see our DJ, as I call him, Asif, our main guru for support today.
Oh, of course, Asif. You can see him in the background there as well. He's managing everything. I'm sure that's a tough job here. I see Osama Ali Khan. Hi. You're joining us from the car. That's another advantage of doing it online.
I think it's good enough. You can take the shot
from
now.
the job, not from the car. So I'm doing both things at the same time.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Awesome. Iftikhar, hi.
You can take the shot now. Probably they are good enough now, I think.
All right, let me take a picture if you don't mind. So just do some crazy hands, you know, and I will take a picture.
Look at this, a smile's pose. Very good.
Cool, I think we got it, so that's enough. Thank you, everybody. You can keep video on, you can turn it off, all up to you. And with that, we would like to move on to our next session for today, which is around personal branding. And that will be done by two people, Khalid Abbas and Ahmed, who have already, you have seen them talking, and they will be covering topics like LinkedIn, your CV, and interview tips. So over to you guys.
Thank you, Zen. So that's one of the most important aspects once you're starting your career, how you brand yourself, how you sell yourself, how you like to be seen in the market, and people get advantage of the expertise that you have. And nowadays, the most common platform is LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it almost seems like you don't exist in the cyber world, at least. So that's very important, that you need to have your LinkedIn profile so that people can see what your expertise are, how you look like, and things like that. So without any further delay, you can see a few of the things that I mentioned on the screen as well, that you need to have spelling errors, and get somebody to proofread. It's both applicable to your CV and to your LinkedIn profile. Use the terms which are in job specs as required skills and qualifications. Basically, we call them keywords as well. Keywords is another important thing that you need to have. So first part, I'll go to LinkedIn, what you need to have on your LinkedIn profile. So a few of the tips that I have learned myself, and last 8 months I was looking for a job after I left IBM, and I was amazed at how things have changed in the modern world. Because that's one thing that, you know, if you're working long in one company, then you'll face that things in outside world have changed. So first thing in the LinkedIn profile that you need to have is the right profile picture. So your profile picture is your calling card on LinkedIn. It's how people are introduced to you, and visual beings that we are. It governs their impressions from the start. Make sure the picture is recent and looks like you. Make up your face, takes around 60% of it. Long distance shots, they don't stand out. Wear what you would like to wear to work and smile with your eyes. And add a background photo as well. Your background photo is a social visual element at the top of your profile page. It grabs people's attention, sets the context, and shows a little more about what matters to you. More than anything, the right background photo helps your page stand out, engage attention, and stay memorable. Then you need to have a bit of headline as well as a job title. So like there's no rule that says that description at the top of your profile page has to just be a job title. Use the headline field to say a bit more about how you see your role, what you do, what makes you tick, those kind of things. Next thing is a little bit of your intro. So it's better that you speak in a third person as a third person and turn your summary into a story. During all that, what you need to do is buzzwords. That's important thing, or action words. You know, they are kind of your headline. Then summarizes, like without them things become meaningless. Include the terms like specialized, leadership, focused, strategic, experienced, passionate, expert, creative, innovative, and certified. Like these are the real buzzwords in the industry. So if you have them in your profile, that's what most of the recruiters they are looking for once they are running their application tracking systems on the profiles for job search. So these things they have to be there. Then obviously you have to have good network. Like I can see in chat today, a lot of people they are sharing their LinkedIn profiles, which is really good to know that most of people they are already aware of the importance of LinkedIn profile. Then next thing you need to do is list your relevant skills. That's whatever skills you have achieved. That's another thing that the recruiters are looking for, some skills, some Java languages or any certification that you have done, those skills that you need to do. And spotlight the services you offer, like customer support management, DevOps management, you know, site reliability engineer, all these things, they will be like the services that you're offering. And also, you know, try to get endorsements from your contacts and manage them, you know, proactively. So be proactive in managing your endorsements list using the edit features in the skills section of your profile. You can choose which to show and which one to hide. So like if you have 10 like endorsements, but ones that you want, you know, to highlight, so that if there is a specific job that you're looking for and they're related to that and you want to highlight them, so feel free to do that. Also, LinkedIn, it gives you the skills assessment tests. So option for that, do that. That's very useful because you have kind of endorsement from LinkedIn itself. Very important thing, most of the employers, they are looking for how passionate somebody is about learning. So when you complete a course on LinkedIn Learning, you have the opportunity to add a course certificate to your LinkedIn profile. Be active on LinkedIn, add comments like appreciate other people, and you know, or also if you're doing any kind of charity work, voluntary work, that's very important thing nowadays. Most of the big giants they take it seriously, so add them to your profile, and then follow relevant influencers of your industry. So that was very brief, few things about the LinkedIn. I'll jump to the CV part. One important mistake I've seen, especially youngsters that are doing, and I had done that mistake myself as well. Please don't have any photo on the CV. LinkedIn is for photo. For CV, many of the companies, they don't like. That's my personal experience. I've talked to some people in the higher management as well. So that's your personal choice, but I'll say a big no-no. So no photo. There's another reason as well for having no photo, because many of the recruiters, they don't go through the CV themselves. They put them in their application tracking systems, and basically which process them. And if there is any stuff that, multimedia stuff, things like that in some fonts, different font, not uncommon fonts, things like that, fancy things, so that will bring the rating for your CV down in their ATSs. So better have no photo or no fancy fonts. Arial 11, that's what I've come across, and that works very well. And actually some company I came across, they were processing even the normal .txt based CVs as well. So best thing to have is doc format, doc or docx. PDFs, they do well as well. They give you the guarantee that nobody will be making any changes as well. So PDF and doc formats, they are the most common ones. And you need to have a customized CV for the job you're applying. So basically, for example, there are 2 or 3 areas that's where your skill sets fall under. What you need to do is you need to have a customized CV for each skill set. I'll give you my own example. Like I have expertise in incident management, escalation management, support management, these areas. When I'm applying to a company, I customize my CV accordingly, and also bring in few keywords that are the required skills in the job specs. Always put them in your CV, because again, going back to the ATS, it search for the keywords related to the job as well. So that's why it's important to have a customized CV. You can have a generic LinkedIn profile where you have you're mentioning almost everything that you're champion of, but when it comes down to CV, mostly it's the CEOs or people like them. They are who are the hiring managers. They're going through your CV. And important thing, which is a plus point for doc over PDF, is many of the managers. That's again one thing I've come across. They want to add their own comments in the CV before interview. So it's best to have a docx. So in PDF, obviously, you don't have that option. Use again strong buzzwords or the action words: advanced, automated, coded, completed, deployed, developed, devised, discovered, implemented, programmed. All these things, just make sure you have these strong words, action words, or the buzzwords in your CV. They leave a good impression. And list your skills and achievements, and obviously that you have to, and the keywords from the job specs. One important thing that I should have mentioned in the beginning, one thing is obviously the work experience in reverse chronological order, but at top of your CV that you should have your profile. No CV gets more than 15 to 20 seconds initially. If that few lines in your profile, if they catch the eye of the recruiter, then you are in the next phase. Then he or she will give an extra time. So that profile has to be very precise, say 4 or 5 sentences at the most, and have few of the buzzwords in them and what you are doing. So that's all you need to do. And it's best to have it in third person. For example, like I'll give like highly motivated customer service professional with over 10 years experience in managing technology-based accounts, including software security, enterprise solutions, possesses excellent proposed prospecting skills. Those kind of things, just 4 or 5 sentences at the most. So that's all you need to have. It's a wide topic, and we are short of time. Again, I'd love to speak a bit more about it, but what I'll do is, for the moment, I'll hand over the mic to our other panelists for this section for interviews, Ahmed, and I'll come back to you with few of the common interview questions. Over to you, Ahmed.
Thanks so much, Khalid. Yeah, so just to echo back, the most important thing, like in the CV as well, is that whenever you are applying for a job, look into the company, look into the profile, and understand the buzzwords which are being used in that company, because so there is an overlapping data points or buzzwords that people are looking for. And like for example, if you're like Amazon, Facebook, IBM, each has an overlapping but a different buzzword. So try to adjust your CV according to the company and the job profile. Now coming back to the interview, just few tips that I have observed myself when the candidates are coming for the interview, and how we can optimize, how we can increase the chances of getting the job. First and the foremost, sometime it may happen that you may get late for the interview. So of course, like everybody tries to be on time, but just in case if you are getting late, just try to contact the hiring manager or the contact person of the interview and update them as soon as possible. You can then turn this into a positive data point, because this is already a data point on your end that, hey, in any case, if he was late, he was trying to like update and communicate. And some other things, like other aspect is that at times it may happen based on the personality of the interviewer. Some some candidates start feeling that, hey, this is just an informal conversation. Never go towards that aspect. Always consider your interview as the most formal thing in the world, and let the interviewer drive the interview, because he has got a goal. He has got like around 45 minutes, around 40 minutes. He has to check those data points, and so you need to help him actually. So think that how you can help him to tick all those things for you. So then going further, so if you are so these days everybody knows about the STAR method, that whenever you're asked a question, think in terms of a situation, task, action, and result, but be very concise. At times it may happen that candidates just spend too much time into the context, or spend too much time into the task. Just give a brief introduction to the context and go back to the task and the like action that you have taken, and what is the result. If you have got a lot of data points, that's good, but interviewer is not looking for loads of data points in the interview. So if you believe that your answer may take more than a minute, just take a pause, say, hey, like if you want me to go into deep, I have more data points, so then let the interviewer decide the timings and more data points. Other thing is that if the interviewer is asking for an example from your past in terms of a behavior or in terms of the technical aspects, the candidate just say, hey, I do this every day, I do this 10 times, I've got 10 examples. That is all waste of time for both of you. So time is limited, so just start with one example as soon as possible. Start with example, be concise, and wind up on that as soon as possible. Then if you really think, if you really believe that you have got a second example as well, then ask the interviewer, hey, I got another example, I wanna add on into the same one. And then based on the time and based on the data points, the interviewer will decide, hey, that okay, go on for the second example or maybe not. And like other thing is, I also like to notice that some candidates tend to give very old examples, that 4 years old or 5 years old. If possible, try to start with the most recent examples if you're following a start policy, because as an interviewer we are more interested into your last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years maximum. I have seen candidates who are giving 10 years like old examples, so that is just a waste of time. Like of course, if you don't have an example, then you can go like as much back in time as possible. Some of the example questions like in terms of behavior are important when you are a student. Even then you will be asked in according to your student life, according to your projects, like you have done. Like for example, if you are mentioned, or if you're saying that I've done a team project, so then like I would like to ask, hey, to look for an example where you had the chance to help your team member, that if he was struggling, how did you help, how did you jump on, what was the outcome of that, and how it helped to deliver the project at the end of the day. Then for example, how if there was any disagreement between the team members, or with the with the supervisor, and how did you manage it? Another could be that what did you do if you just disagreed with your team members in the project after the discussion? How would you go to the next step to deliver the result? Another question can be that like if you have some project from the final year or from a third year, what was the best design in your opinion that you have done, and why it was best in your opinion? Because then we are checking the level of the person, that what is the best in his opinion at this level when he was student. And if I go towards a technical aspect, we can check like if you had the chance to improve the performance of your application, or if you like had the chance to look into scaling the application, if you had the chance to look into the operation side of the application. So these are some kind of edges that you always do a prep about your projects, about your teamwork, and then do a prep, and then so then you can explain it better.
Thanks, Ahmed. For the last part, but again, based on personal experience recently, I'll go through the common scenarios that you are going to face during interviews here. So I have made few notes on that, and again, I had a lot of unsuccessful interviews, a few successful as well. So, and discuss with some of the industry gurus regarding, management of interviews, companies who specialize in that area. I have a few notes that I'd like to share. So, first thing, obviously, be there if you're called for interview, be there on time, and so a little bit of room for yourself, to settle down. Your hands are dry, smile and handshake with the person that you're meeting. So leave in easy manner. All from your home, and you make sure that you have read the job description very well, and a night before you have gone through the latest stock options and those things on internet about the company that you're going interviewing. And also important thing is most of the popular companies, Facebook, Amazon, their interviewing techniques, what they are, or Google, what they ask. If you go to Indeed.com, you'll see, their reviews by different people, and you'll have a good idea about the company itself. So you have arrived at the interview place, but at the moment, what's mostly happening is via Zoom or any other online meeting platform. So better have a background, wear some professional, obviously, the clothing should be professional looking, and your background shouldn't be like mine at the moment, like it's my bedroom, but it should be more kind of a plain wall, like you can see Ahmed or something like that, like there's less distraction, and there's more concentration on you, the guy who's interviewing you, guy or girl, whatever. And so always have a cup of tea, a glass of water ready with you. So if they ask any tricky question, you just take a sip of water. So it gives you, a bit of time to think about, about the question, and then you answer that question. So coming to the questions themselves, first question that's very common is why should we hire you, or what appeals you in this role, basically. So if you have done your homework night before or a few weeks before, you have gone through the company profile, what are their values and things like that, and you also know what are your own strengths. Basically, marry both the things together, and make not more than 2 minutes. It shouldn't be more than 2 minutes. Keep it less than that, and the answer should be, this role appeals me because it fits in with my profile and gives me the opportunity to grow and develop. And then a little bit of your experience. So what you're doing is, whatever the job specs are, you are bringing it, you're marrying it with your profile and giving a good kind of summary. So the person asking you the question doesn't feel like you have deviated from the question. They will get an idea that you blend very well with this role. So that's your first question is very important that you answer. So there you are giving a little bit of idea about your expertise, your strengths, your strong points, and also you want them to show that you have gone through the job specs, that. So then the question would be, what are your key strengths? So don't just straight away, C++, Java, Python, blah, 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 these are my strengths. No. best way to answer that question is that, give them some example of a project that you really feel you're proud of. And for the experienced guys, if you have come across a situation, like for example, what Ahmed was saying, using the STAR method, that's a good chance of giving you, if you had a customer, you have dealt with a tough customer and what was the situation and things. So basically you're telling them that these are your key strengths and how you use them. So it's giving two answers for one question that they have asked, and that that's again you're utilizing the time very wisely. So few of questions will be around that area, and towards the end they will normally ask you, why should we hire you? So again, there are a few things that you need to tell them, few points that I believe I am a very good fit for this role because, again, refer back to the question one, your experience, your expertise, your good leadership, empathy, customer solving, things like that, your strengths. Basically throughout the interview, you're playing on your strengths, you're telling them and also marrying them with what the job specs are. So these are things that you need to take care of. And at the end, if they say, so normally they do ask, do you have any questions for us or me? So please always ask questions and two questions at the most. So what you need to check, ask them is, like, for example, something regarding the role that that you're interviewing for, like what would success look like in this role in 3 to 6 months, or or how do you think this role will I'll fit into this role in your organization, something on those lines. So that basically that will give you an idea as well, and they will also think that you're really looking into join them as a good professional who's concerned about how you develop your career in their organization. And then something about next question or next thing, it would be kind of what you can say is about their business. Like if you saw something on their website or recently you saw a spike in their stock value or something on those grounds. So basically or something related to their values. For example, Amazon, they're very proud of their leadership skills, and eBay, where I work for, they always take pride in giving preference to the humans. So Salesforce, they are into charity work and things like that. So like you have to do good homework about the company that you're going for interview for, and make sure that you know about the company's values, their stock value, and what they are expert. For example, if you're going for Salesforce, you can tell them that that's the biggest CRM software producer in the world. It has 40% of the shares. For MongoDB, like it's the biggest name in NoSQL, Oracle, things like that. All these basic things, they do count a lot towards your selection, other than your skills. Basically, that's like that's the basic thing, that you need to have the basic skills, but how to present yourself, how to brand yourself, how you can be hired, so these are basic some of the basic tips that you need to know. So I'll try to conclude my my suggestions here. There are a lot more, but we are short of time. So over to you, Zan.
Thank you, Khalid, and thank you, Ahmed. I think that was a wonderful session covering a lot of different topics, and I think this is just covering the the surface of things, and I'm sure our experts could go into a lot more detail. As I said, I moved to Dublin last year, and before that, I was also job searching, and I encountered a lot of these tips that our experts shared with us today, and they really are important. So I hope you take something away from this, and when you start looking for your start of your career or just change of job, you would be utilizing some of these tips as well. Now, you met a lot of experts today. You met Khalid, Atif, Absar, Ahmed, Dr. Farooq, but we have many more. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. This is the first such webinar that we have organized, but this is not the end. What we plan to do is have future sessions on the other different topics and even more focused topics, like for example AI or machine learning or big data and so on. Whatever our audience wants, we will be focusing and bringing in experts that can talk about them for a bit more time. And just to keep in mind, like initially, as I said, this idea was to have it in person. That's something that we would like to explore once things allow for that and things have calmed down and there is enough security to go around and organize in-person events one more time. Until then, we will continue with the webinar series. Now, just before we come to the conclusion, I would like to introduce some of those experts that we have here, and they are also on the call. The first one is Dr. Arjuman Yunus, and she's a postdoctoral researcher with University College Dublin. Her area of expertise are recommender systems, information retrieval, social media analytics, data science, and she has a wonderful profile here, as you can read here. And at this point, I would actually like to ask her and share with us a few words, especially for women in our audience today. Over to you.
Hi, Zen. Thank you for the lovely introduction. So as you can see, I'm currently working as a postdoc in UCD, and I'm part of a group called Consus, where we are trying to make Ireland a leader in data-driven agriculture, which is a very ambitious goal, but not that much. It's achievable, so that's why we're working on it. We also interact with industry from time to time. Particularly what I want to talk about is women in this field. Even in all the participants and even in all the questions, we just saw that only there was one lady who asked questions, which is very good. Well, there used to be a time when we couldn't even see one, so that's better than before, but still not what we expect, not what we want. So there should be more females in this area, in computer science, in AI, in big data, in all of these fields. Why am I saying this? Because this field has a great potential for women. When this all COVID thing happened, the one thing that, well, the two children were here, their creche got closed. It was very challenging to work from home. But the one thing that kept me motivated was that a lot of people lost their jobs. And Alhamdulillah, being in IT, the best thing about it is working from home. And we as women, we have caretaking responsibilities for children, house management responsibilities and things like that. But this field allows you to work from home. When the children are asleep, you can do some bits and pieces, and you can manage your time as per your expectation, because all you need is a laptop. So that's why I highly encourage women to come in this field. It's also, there are many flexible jobs where you can find part-time research assistant jobs. Someone here asked how we can gain experience during our undergrad to make ourselves established later on when we apply for a job. Well, there are internships. There is a lot of stuff that allows you part-time working, like 2 hours per day or even 4 hours per day. It's not necessary you have to push yourself a lot. During my PhD, there were days when my first child was born in the last year of my PhD, and I wrote my thesis in 3 months, and she was just 3 months old. So it's doable. It's not that hard. I would definitely recommend it for women. Yes, it's challenging, but the part that keeps you going is the joy of building software and creating something that's going to work in real world systems. Like, for example, we worked with a startup called Clever Gift, and they deployed their recommender system for Brown Thomas. What the idea was that they wanted their clients don't know what to gift each other. Like sometimes it's your wife's birthday and you're clueless what to gift her. So there was an idea to, using data science and clustering techniques in text mining, fill out some questionnaires, and based on that, the app will give you a gift idea for your wife. So this was something that we gave to Brown Thomas, and to see these things in work, in real world, it's something very rewarding. It's not just, you enter a profession not just for money, especially for me, and I don't think so a lot of women need the money. It's not the money that matters, it's the satisfaction and the feeling of doing something. Of course, raising kids is also a great contribution, But when your kids are a little bit grown up, you feel like, I'm wasting myself. I need to do something. I know a lot of women have these thoughts. It's out there. I know that. We don't talk about it much, but it's there. Another thing I want to tell all of you about is I'm starting my own consultancy startup very soon. And it's specially focused towards women who want to start a career, not in just IT, but different fields. We'll have different consultants. So we'll have our own launch seminar, hopefully somewhere in August. So stay tuned for that as well. And thank you very much. Over to you, Zain.
Thank you, Dr. Arjman, and thank you for sharing such inspiring messages for our women, and I think for men as well, because we all have women in our lives as well, and we can also do our part in supporting them and encouraging them in this as well. And I love the idea of recommending the gift. My wedding anniversary is coming soon, so I know where to go for my wife's gift for that. Thank you for that. Let's move on to our next expert for today, and that's somebody that you may have already seen in our chat. That's Mr. Usman Naeem. He's a big data analyst and currently working with AutoCAD, but as you can see, his area of expertise is just phenomenal. Data architecture, advanced analytics, data warehousing, business intelligence, data engineering, and data science. I'm sure in one of the future sessions, he would be one of the experts that will be leading them as well. And you can always connect with him over LinkedIn, where he can answer any questions you might have. Our next one is also somebody you might recognize already, Mr. Asif Said. He's currently working as senior escalation engineer at Citrix. So his expertise are in cybersecurity, authentication, encryption, mobile devices, virtualization, customer management. And he's been over 20 years in this industry. Our next expert is Dr. Kapil Dev. He was also online in the session today. He's currently a postdoctoral research fellow and lab demonstrator at Trinity College, Dublin. And his area of expertise is actually telecommunications. So things like 5G and 6G. We don't even have 5G, and our experts like Dr. Kapil are already researching what 6G might look like. So that's really advanced level of research, apart from blockchain as well. And our final expert for today is Mrs. Atika Asif, the wife of Mr. Asif, and she's currently a QA lead working with revenue. And her area of expertise are software quality assurance. And she has over 10 years of experience working in the industry. So as you can see, this is not even the final list. We have many, many more experts out there that couldn't join us today, but this is just the beginning. And our goal with all this today's session and this series of sessions that are going to continue for a while will be to connect these experts to our new generation that is coming up, either studying right now or just joining their professional career or looking for opportunities, and match them together. And grow, as even our ambassador was talking about, grow a professional community of Pakistanis in Ireland. And I think there is a huge opportunity for that. So I hope you enjoyed. There are a couple of things that you can do. You can follow IPA on various social media channels, including Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, you can follow us on the website. There is an email address here, info@ipaireland.ie. So if you have any questions, be it around the event, be it around to one of our experts about any of the topics that they discussed today, please feel free to write there. You can send us your feedback. You can basically connect with us in any way possible. Or you can use one of the social media channels as well. You can post on our Facebook page and everything. The recording of this session will hopefully be shared soon as well, and you can send it to other colleagues that couldn't join today. Also, you will be getting a survey which will be asking you for your feedback, but also asking you a question like what future sessions you want to see, which are the areas that we can try and focus on. And please keep an eye out for that in your email inbox and give us feedback. I think it should be arriving in the next couple of days for you.
I'd like to say a couple of things before we conclude the session. It's two people that we didn't mention. Actually, they're always very shy, but in the background, a lot of work they have done is Zubair Siddiqui, who's the co-founder of IPPA. And then we can see Mr. Shehzad Sharwani. He is the second in command in Embassy of Pakistan. Basically, I think many people don't know. The idea was conveyed to me from Shehzad Sharwani, and then we worked together, and that how things went on from one to other. So initially it was scheduled in March, but due to COVID-19, everything got delayed, and then we had to come to online platform. So, but before conclusion, I'd like to invite Dr. Khalid Sarwar Khan again, just to say a few words to thank Embassy of Pakistan to giving IPA this opportunity.
Thanks very much, Khalid Saab. As you mentioned, it's very impressive, and definitely it's the first one and first of many, and inshallah we'll do a lot. I'd like to thank especially to His Excellency Ambassador Shujaa Alam Saab and Deputy Head of Commission, Mr. Shahzad Nosherwani. And in fact, as Khalid has mentioned, that Shahzad Nosherwani has invited me and Khalid Saab a few months ago, and from where this idea came into kind of little thought process, and then we worked on it. So this, I'm very, very happy that we have our embassy, which is very keen and involving with the community practically and doing practical things, and that's the way I'm seeing a good future for our community and embassy in Pakistan. So I thank again to all, and thanks to the embassy. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid. Thank you, Khalid bhai, and of course, thank you all the organizers. Indeed, Zubair was instrumental in getting all of this organized, and he is a bit shy and doesn't want to come here. Thank you, everybody, and we look forward to your feedback. I think the one last thing we can do before we conclude everything is just have another picture together. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing my slide, and we can all turn our cameras. You can all wave, you can clap if you want, or you know, whatever signs that you want to make, just to have a bit more fun. You know, online meetings are takes a bit more effort to make them more interactive, and this is one of those things that we can try. So don't be shy, just turn on your videos, wave to everybody that is on the screen, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming sessions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Allah Hafiz.
Bye. Have a nice evening and weekend.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, Allah Hafiz. Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. Bye.
Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.